All right, let's give this a shot. So, welcome to Nomads Nation podcast, episode 1. I have had this idea to do this podcast for a while now, and I'm really stoked to be doing it. I'd say pretty proper launch, as I got Bo Ismono and Roland K. Smith from Rushfaster here. Bo, Roland, how you guys doing?
Pretty good. Hi. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, can't complain. Thanks, Aaron.
Awesome, guys. I've never done a podcast before. I've never hosted a podcast before. So we're going to be like going over new territory here. But my whole idea was that obviously we are kind of in the bag niche, right? We've reviewed a few bags, and I've, just noticed that most of these bags that are being talked about sort of on an individual reviewer basis. One reviewer sitting down, talking about a bag, pros, cons, and, that's a wrap. But I was like, I want to kind of have like a conversation about a bag. So that's where the idea spawned from. That's what we're going to try and do today. And the goal or the idea was that each of us would have the bag actually in hand. So we're doing the Evergoods PLC20. And do you guys have your bags with you? Oh, this is exciting. Dude, we got 3 different versions too. So I'm rocking the navy blue. Bo, which one do you guys have?
This is the black one, and I'm jealous of the one that Roland has.
The sage green. This is an interesting one. I liked it when I first saw it, and I was like, I'm umming and ahhing about whether I get it, because I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but like getting your hands on Evergoods gear is never straightforward as a reviewer. Have you found that?
Yes. Yeah. For me, there's always some hoops to jump through.
That's right. So, and I really like, I know we're going to get into all this, I know, but I really like small bags. So I was pretty excited about this one. And I dug the sage green. I thought interesting, maybe slightly risky. It's sort of like, I'll explain it for people who aren't watching the video. It's quite a muted green. It's not in your face. It's almost grey, I would say.
Is it kind of army, kind of like
no, I wouldn't say
faded green?
I wouldn't say it's army faded green. It has a completely different. Sage, I think, is a good name choice for the color.
Sage,
that it is.
all right.
It's that
we'll
sort
go with
of,
that.
Which is the color, right? That's what they've called it. So kudos to them. But yeah, it's a nice one. But their colors are always pretty good.
I gotta say, Roland, the sage green goes very well with that denim. Bo, I don't know if you know, Roland is quite the denim enthusiast. He's bringing the A game with the denim at all times.
It's true.
If you have any questions, if anybody has any questions or anything in regards to denim, ask Roland, because he's the man. What's the denim jacket of? Yeah, Bo.
I have to say, Aaron. Sorry, Aaron. Roland has the best hair of all of us as well.
I just got a haircut today. Really? Come on, man.
I got a haircut yesterday, but still, look at his hair. It's much better than both of us.
Well, this is my podcast, and you're gonna do me like that. This is some bullshit, dude. What the hell?
I like what Aaron was doing when he had the slick back, sort of slightly questionable character greaser. I don't know. What do you call that? What do you call that?
I don't know what to call it.
But that was
those are shots fired now.
Yeah, that was shots fired. But deservingly so. I want my entire life. I always wanted to see what I'd look like with a man bun, and then I found out, and there's a reason the man bun is gone now. So
I thought it looked good.
Oh, thanks, Roland. I appreciate that. My wife was not, so hence why we're here now.
That's all that matters.
Exactly. All right, guys. So listen, we got some bags to talk. We got the Evergoods PLC20 to talk about. So real fast, I'm a slave for context. So I want to give some context about our relationship with this bag real fast, just so we kind of understand where we are. So for me, I got my Evergoods about a year and a half ago. And normally, I'm not sure with you guys, like when I get a bag, I don't always have the chance to like fully review it and test it for a few weeks. But I was so excited about this one that I really tested it out for a couple of weeks. I was wearing it every day as my EDC. I'd say about 2 weeks I wore it every day. I was just so excited about it. And then I did the review. And that was about a year and a half ago. And I've still sort of played around with the bag and used it every now and then. But I've had sort of a longer relationship with the bag. What about you, Bo? What's your relationship with your Evergoods PLC? Because you're a fan of yours, right?
Yeah, I actually just opened up my YouTube channel. I was looking at when I reviewed it, and I reviewed it in, 15th of April 2022, And then I actually, half a year later, on the 17th of September 2022, I called it my favorite bag of 2022. So I have been using it quite a while, and I do love it a lot. Especially, I'm not sure if it's an age thing or if it's a thing of how the world has become, but I kind of started to dislike, or dislike is maybe a little bit strong. I went away from these kind of military looking bags. For instance, the Gorok GR0 was the bag that started my channel that I love a lot, but I do not like this kind of military appeal, especially in Europe with all of the wars going on. I just didn't want to touch that kind of stuff. But I still love the Gorok and the quality that comes with that kind of bag. And so I really liked Evergoods coming on my radar and into the picture. And the Cap 24 was a great bag, but it doesn't look military, not at all. But I don't know, it still gave me somewhat of a rough vibe that I don't necessarily would wear in a casual. I wouldn't go to my in-laws, for instance, with a Cap 24. It's not
You're making a statement if you did.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's not bad. It's not that. It's not a bag where I would feel ashamed of, but I don't know. It has some vibe to it. And the panel loader classic, as the name implies, with this classic, it does look classic. It does look a little bit timeless to me, and I do not feel uncomfortable walking into, I don't know, into a bank meeting, for instance. It's not business. I would obviously, if it would be an important meeting, I would still kind of dress up, but still, that bag doesn't give me, I don't know, some form of subconscious, oh, you have maybe a bag that doesn't look fitting to the attire you're wearing. And I feel that the panel loader classic fits all of the
And Bo, I think that's kind of
scenarios.
in line to. I remember you described you were going through like a quarter life crisis of some sorts, where you wanted to stop wearing dark clothes. Now you're wearing bright clothes. You're rocking the hot pink right now. You got the Evergoods backpack. So you're changing the vibe across the board. But in contrast, Roland, I believe that you just only got your hands on your PLC, right?
Yeah, that's right. I've had it since Friday, and it's Monday today. So I haven't had much time with it. So I'm still very much in the first impressions place. So yeah, my experience with it has been very, very different to both of yours, but I do like it off the bat. When it came out, I had asked people, oh, what's it like? What's the panel loader classic like? And people have said, oh, it's really small, or oh, it's a bit of a strange bag, or some people just, I hate it. I've got it and I hate it. Which was interesting feedback, because Evergoods tends to elicit a more positive all-round response than that from people who are into carry. But I like small bags. I think 20 litres is more than enough for most people's day-to-day carry. And what I was most impressed with today, when I took it to work for the first time in the city, was how comfortable it was. It's a really comfortable bag.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I know that they've done a lot of work with their straps. And they do sit in a slightly different position to some of the other bags of similar sizes that I'm used to wearing, but it's really comfortable. It carries everything you need to carry. It's up there. It's not, I wouldn't say it's quite the best quality carry that's around, but it's up there. It's up there.
Now,
Is that the
Roland,
one with
I
the
know.
new fabric?
Sorry?
Yeah, which fabric do you have, Roland?
It's 840D. So it's
okay.
It's a little bit of a thinner weave than the 1680 that's on the black and the blue one, I think.
Yeah, my blue one. We got 1680D ballistic nylon on mine, so a little bit thicker of a
1680D.
weave, chunkier sort of look.
It's not so much the material. The external shell feels really good. My bag came pre-loved, right? So it's been beaten up. It's been used. So I'm seeing it not fresh, which is kind of good for this purposes. But there are quite a few fuzzy threads.
Interesting.
I've never really fallen in love with the interior lining of Evergoods material. It feels a bit cheap to me. I'd love them to do a ripstop. That's what I'd love. I'd love to see that in a ripstop. I'd love to see some texture. It just feels very pedestrian. Do you know what I mean? Like, for anybody that isn't familiar, it's just basically a grey piece of fabric, and like, it's probably some very somebody would know what it was. What is it? It's like probably 210 or something.
Yeah, I think it's around 200, and they refer to it as their standard gray, which yet again, kind of on that path of just being kind of more down the middle. They're not really taking any risks with the material. I'm a bit more of a fan of it than you are, I think, Roland, and maybe I've grown to love it a little bit. But we'll talk about that in actually just a second. You're jumping a little ahead, Roland. I know with that fine head of hair, you think you can get away with anything, but you know what? We got to stick to an agenda right now, okay?
Pushing it.
But,
Yeah. Sorry.
but can you? I'm wondering, is the interior fabric also different than on ours? Can you? Because
it's not.
The beauty of having the bag in hand. Let's find out. I wouldn't
40D.
Guess so. It's 40D.
Yeah,
it is. It's 420D HT nylon.
Yeah, 420.
I mean, look, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that I don't think it's particularly interesting. It does. I don't think it has to be a hot orange or anything. I'm just like it's a mid grey. Yeah. There's no texture to it. Agreed. I do like the mesh that you're showing there. I think the mesh is really nice. It feels good.
All looks the same in your version of the bag, Roland?
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Please.
Those zippers.
Oh yeah, they're chunky.
Number 10s, which is good. I think every bag should have number 10 on the main compartment. Anyway.
Agreed.
Same exact.
Perfect. It looks same.
That's Evergoods for you right there. I mean, if anything, they're consistent, right? Their branding is consistent. They don't take a lot of risks on those interior materials in terms of, like you said, Roland, like something more interesting happening in terms of like, having a ripstop nylon or something a little bit more colored. But we'll get to that in just a second. But before we kind of dive into the bag, I'm kind of curious, like real quick, Bo, Evergoods, what are your thoughts on the brand as a whole? What bags from them have you actually reviewed?
Probably all of them.
All of them?
Probably. Besides, from the Mountain series backpacks, I probably only reviewed one because it's not really my use case style. But from all of the slings and the Civic series, and probably all of them, Civic Half Zip, Panel Loader Classic, the CAP.
You've been around the block with Evergoods.
Yeah.
So just kind of like a gist, like riff with me. Like what's your thoughts on the Evergoods brand as a whole? You've checked out a lot of their bags.
Yeah, I would say solid bags. Now that Roland has given us his opinion, I kind of agreed that it is. Did you say pedestrian? Is that kind of a different word for casual?
Yeah, I guess pedestrian, sort of middle of the line and middle of the road, perhaps. That's where pedestrians hang out, so that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. That checks out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that in terms of styling. Obviously, my favorite brand in terms of uniqueness, in terms of looks, has always been Black Ember. It's been a hate and a love relationship, but
because you weren't crazy about the TKS, were you, Bo?
No. Not at all. No. I do love the Forge. Has been my favorite. The Citadel, I love it as well. But I was ripping into the TKS a lot, and the Shadow is somewhere in the middle. But going back to Evergoods, I feel that Evergoods isn't that unique in terms of innovation, in terms of looks. So it's it's in the middle, but it's such a solid bag where I feel it is very easy to recommend to some degree, because at least from my perspective, of the old lineup, those do not get damaged a lot. So I feel they hold up very well, and although they are so pedestrian, they feel so simple in a way that it is very adaptable to anyone's loadout, because I see a few bags where you have a lot of slots, a lot of tidbits where you can kind of store small items, and it doesn't apply to everyone. So for me, I'm not an Apple user, for instance. That's the best example. AirPods, I don't have tiny things like an AirPod case or a Magic Mouse. I have a big mouse. So it doesn't fit all of those smaller compartments. With Evergoods, it feels like it is very broad. It is very, in air quotes, simple. So it does fit anyone's packing style. Therefore, for me, it's easy to recommend.
That's really interesting because I would agree with all that, but it's interesting that, all right, so you would think that a brand that's very pedestrian and makes kind of products that's going to be the word of the day, makes products that aren't really for anybody. They're kind of for everybody. Like they're not for a very sub niche of group of people, right? Typically brands like that don't do as well. But yet we have, a borderline cult-like following it with Evergoods. So Roland, if we have this sort of dichotomy, where do you think the cult is coming from then with Evergoods? Like why have they formed this ultra passionate following?
Yeah, I think it's because, look, I was referring to the material choice of the interior lining as pedestrian. I think that there probably is an element of that though in their overall design where they've nailed what they've set out to do, and that's just create, like if you look at the the Civic
PLC.
What's the 24? What's the one we're not talking about?
The
Civic
CHC
Access Pack. No,
yes, the cap.
Those are the
CPL.
pouches.
There's a lot of letters. Yeah, CPL. Yeah. That's the one.
So panel loader. Yeah,
the Civic panel loader. So that's the one that's clamshell, 24 liters. So, I mean, if you're just looking for a backpack, like, boy, is that a good one? Like that ticks all of the boxes. Yeah. It looks like a backpack. It's got that lovely square shape, but it's not so squared off that it's brutal. And it's a good size, and then it has all the features that you need, but then there's not too many of them that it becomes complicated to use, like Black Ember and what they're doing. You almost need an instruction manual to work out how to operate some of their backpacks. But the Evergood stuff is just really good. So while they haven't set out to reinvent the backpack, they've just sort of got it right in a lot of ways. So I think they're reliable, and that's what backpacks need to be. For a lot of people, they're a tool. For some people, they're sort of a fashion accessory, and I guess the best ones are probably both. But if you just get those basics right, which is often really hard to do, we've seen so many bags that have really ambitious goals, but then the straps suck, or the zips give, or something else like that, or it's really hard to access the
over-designed
the laptop compartment, or over-designed, over-construction. Whereas, Evergoods just sort of gets it right, and I think it's a relief when you are looking at so many bags or a backpack enthusiast to get something that just works really well. And look, it might not turn that many heads, but it's going to be good to use. It's going to get you to work and back without too many issues.
Can I add maybe something to that? I feel like Evergoods is also a very approachable brand in terms of the content that they put out. I mean, when they explained why they designed a bag, I feel that very approachable as a consumer, and to understand why something that I potentially dislike has been made that way. And I sometimes feel that they are one of the few brands that actually do that. And that's what I really like with them.
Their marketing, I think, is so low key, awesome. Like it's very simple. It's usually just the co-founders, Jack and Kevin, I think their names are, just sort of explaining why their bags are awesome. And that's I think that's had a really interesting effect, because not a lot of other bag companies are doing this. You don't even know who the founders of Air are, or Bellroy. You don't really see them. So that sort of vulnerability that they have, where they're on camera, they're not really scripted. They're just kind of stuttering over their words and explaining different things, and it feels very intimate in that perspective. But also, you can tell they know what the fuck they're talking about. And then when they explain something that you hadn't quite thought about, you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And I think that what they've done such a good job of is just like embedding themselves in with like the first adopters, right? So like the people who really like backpacks, the carryology community and stuff, they know that Evergoods makes great bags, and they're sort of evangelizing them. I'm not sure if that's the pronunciation of the word. And that's just sort of catapulting them forward in a lot of ways. But I think that marketing is very core to that because it creates a lot of education for their goods. And yeah, at the end of the day, I think their bags freaking rock. I mean, this PLC, it's got a lot going on for it. And speaking of which, let's kind of talk about, like, I'm curious, Roland, in your limited experience so far, if you had to pick like one thing about the bag that's just really sticking out to you, you mentioned comfort. Would that be the top thing?
It's not particularly exciting to talk about comfort, but I mean, a bag should be comfortable. Like if a bag's not comfortable, it doesn't really matter how cool it is, but you're not going to use it. But yeah, they've got the straps right, and the shape of them. And this is one of those things that you hear Jack and Kevin talk about in their YouTube videos that they put out. They talk about why they've designed them with that curve, and also is there a curvature to the back panel? Like if you turn it on its side,
for sure.
Yeah, so they talk about why they've done that exactly, and so that it really does. I don't know why they've bothered to put a sternum strap on a 20-liter backpack, but they've done that for some reason.
So 2 years ago, I would have agreed with you, but as I'm getting a little bit older and developing a bit of a neck pain, I actually have been using my sternum strap on my 20-liter all the time. So I appreciate it when they throw it on there. It's removable. You can take it off if you don't want it, but I agree it is exceptionally comfortable as to where you don't really need it. Bo, do you share the sentiments on the comfort of the bag? Because for me, before you jump in real fast, the shoulder straps are just incredible. Like this thick padding, they're beefy, they're chunky. I mean, they just sit so nicely on the shoulders. The ergonomic sort of design, right? How it sort of cuts in like this is great. The back panel for me, I could use a bit more ventilation personally, but the shoulder straps, I'm with you all day. Bo, what are your thoughts on the comfort of the bag?
The comfort is good. I just wanted to add in terms of, in regards to the sternum strap, the fabric of this Evergoods, at least, is very similar to the abrasion-resistant fabric of my motorcycle jacket. So when I wear this on a motorcycle, this actually kind of is more prone to slide off my shoulders because the fabrics are very similar, and that's probably has more to do with the motorcycle jacket being abrasion resistant and therefore having more slippery properties to it. So I need the sternum strap when I ride the motorcycle with these kind of fabrics on the backpack, so it doesn't slide off that easily.
For sure.
For me, I think what I like the most about this bag is just, this very, maybe it's a little bit too big of a word, but this timeless design to it. I feel it is a no-brainer for me to grab this bag. There are some other bags where I might think, oh, maybe that is too complicated to pack, or maybe it's too small, or maybe it's too big, and maybe it doesn't fit all of my items, not because of the volume, but because it is shaped in a specific kind of way. And I feel that this bag hits so many boxes that it is very easy for me to, you both and we have so many bags, and sometimes I personally get overwhelmed by, okay, which bag should I grab for this specific occasion? And this bag is so easy not to think about. That also means it's not the most special bag of the ones that I already own, but it is easy to choose. That's what I like about it.
For me, I definitely think the comfort's right there, but I do think just this classic silhouette and overall aesthetic I just think that they freaking nailed it. Now, obviously that comes with some compromises, no external water bottle holders, which we'll talk about in a second, whether or not it's a big deal to you guys or not, but just the way that they sort of built this silhouette where it sort of curves in a little bit. It's sexy, it's classic, and it just, you can feel that when you're wearing it too. Like I just feel like I'm gliding when this bag is on my back. It doesn't have that bulky boxiness. So I would say that just that sort of like that streamlined look and feel for me was one of the things that I was most impressed with this bag. I wore it today and I just was like, God, it just feels good, especially when I'm in Hong Kong. I'm walking through the city. There's people everywhere, right? So I'm surrounded. I'm just trying to move through as fast as I can. But on the flip side then, Roland, what would be something on the bag in your limited experience, but I think it's cool to hear you're like, you're coming in fresh, like, with fresh eyes on this. What's something about the bag you haven't been appreciating, or you just flat out haven't liked so far?
Can I talk about the water bottle pocket, or is that going to be like a separate thing?
With that hair, you can talk about whatever you want, baby.
Yeah, I was sort of, when I was packing it out the first time, I was sort of like, oh, where am I going to put my water bottle? Like, where's it going to go? And, some bags that don't have an external water bottle pocket might have a little loop on the inside or somewhere that sort of makes sense for it to go. And, I was throwing in my umbrella and all my bits and pieces. And where I ended up putting it was in the front pouch on the outside. Because that's the other thing that I think is quite unique about this bag. Yeah. In there's this massive pouch. So I'm almost turning this into a positive because it fit this water bottle in there like without issue, and I ended up having a water bottle pocket. Now, it's not a water bottle pocket. It sort of means that it's flapping around in there. But yeah, it would be cool if there was a loop somewhere for a water bottle pocket. I mean, some people feel really passionate about water bottle pockets and they won't buy a bag if they don't have one. I don't feel that way. I'll just put my water bottle in the bag somewhere. Yeah. But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised because the Evergoods water bottle pockets on the CHZ22, which is a bag that I did own and loved and got quite a lot of use out of, had two really excellent water bottle pockets.
100%. I would say that the Evergoods water bottle pockets are considered to be probably the best in the game, more or less, especially with the outdoor packs that they have. Bo, what are your sentiments on water bottle pockets and bags, and then specifically with this bag?
I'm kind of torn with water bottle pockets, to be quite honest, just because of this one incident that I had on the Dubai airport where I was running and my aluminium water bottle flipped out or jumped out of the outside water bottle compartment and went crashing on the airport, and everyone was looking, and I was already a little bit, I don't know, I'm not sure what's it with the Dubai airport, but I kind of always feel like I'm being watched a lot. I'm always going through the security check at the airport, and I always have to take out my whole bag with camera gear. And okay, maybe it's camera gear, but that one time I didn't travel camera gear, and I have to take out everything. So I kind of feel always a little bit watched on that airport. And then this bottle fell down and was like a big bang, and everyone was watching me, and I thought I would get arrested because it sounded like a gunshot.
Now you're black. You're probably blacklisted from Dubai Airport now. You were already on their radar, and then yeah, the water bottle incident. Yeah. Don't go back to Dubai Airport. Just take a different layover. So you're a little torn on them then.
Yeah, that's why I usually don't really use them or need them. I prefer putting the water bottle into the main compartment. What I don't like about this main, we are at what we don't like about the bag, right? Or
yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I think on one hand, I do like this big front quick access compartment because it's so huge and you can actually drop in whatever, maybe also a small jacket and stuff like that. But it is, because it is so spacious and so big, it is also like a big black hole where stuff just accumulates on one.
It's crazy.
part.
Like just for the viewers, I mean, like you would think a pocket this big might have a little additional organization in there. There's nothing. It's just, I mean, it is this enormous pocket with no other small pockets in there. So it's not meant for organizing small bits of gear. They're telling you throw big bulky stuff in there, which, a water bottle works nicely, but yeah, it's just,
what's
it's
interesting
strange.
though? That is a really big pocket. And I found that the other external quick access pocket is actually quite small. It's very shallow, that top access, with the one that has the really funky on my one. Sure. What color is the no on the external?
This one.
I guess the sunglasses pocket. It's got this really cool bright red key leash, which is another thing about Evergoods that I really like. Like that's a bit of character there.
A little character,
a little bit of character. I found that quite shallow.
Yeah, it is.
It's nice and wide. It's got a really big zipper opening, but I found it quite shallow. And it probably has to be that way because of the way that you access the laptop from the inside. And if that was too long, you'd get what you end up having on the CHZ, which is where you have to lift the flap. I think I complained about this to you on your podcast, Bo, but you have to lift the flap up to get into the thingo. So I guess I understand that. But a mix, if they sort of made both volumes a little bit more closer to equal, both pockets might have been a little bit more useful.
For sure. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, you can see with this pocket, like Roland was just talking about, it's actually, it's quite shallow. It's just right here. You can fit a pair of sunglasses in there, but you're not going to get a lot versus, you know, you could fit a basketball in here, I feel like. I haven't tested this, but I feel like a full-length men's size LeBron James basketball could literally fit in there. And which, you know, testament to Evergoods again, for one thing that I think that they're freaking wizards at is just giving you pockets that have more capacity than you think that they would. Like if you look at the CPL, you know, that front side pocket, like that thing expands. You know, you can fit sweaters in there, you can fit water bottles in there. So Evergoods are really good about creating space in spots that don't seem like there would be that much space. But I guess not so much when it comes to this top pocket right there. Bo, though, as you were saying, so your negative of the bag would be what?
This front compartment is basically just a big black hole. I love when these kind of front access, let's say, quick access compartments can utilize the whole vertical space, because I don't really like when the bottom part kind of bunches up, because everything is kind of just sliding to the bottom. However, I do get why they did it in this bag that way, because it is great to have a big spacious compartment, and obviously you don't want to have your lineup be all the same. So for people like me, if I would be Evergoods, I would say, oh, you want that kind of compartment, then go with the Civic panel loader, right? Because it has that stuff. Or you want the water bottles, then go with the Civic half zip. So I kind of like what they're doing in terms of not putting all of your eggs in one basket, being one bag that has it all, and catering to different preferences. And
I mean, like I said, they got different products. You know, each product has to sort of fit a different use case. So yeah, this is different from the other bags in their lineup. For me, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this. And this is a very personal thing. I understand if it's not important for you, but I'm a huge fan of quick access on a bag. Something that I can just a pocket, a compartment, a slit, and anything that I can just swing the bag over and grab my wallet or my keys, whether it's on the back panel, whether it's on the side. And that's also because I live in Hong Kong, so my backpack's just strapped to my back all the time, and I got to pay for things, you know. It's conducive to my lifestyle. When I'm in the States, I don't feel like I need it as much because my bag's in my car. I just go from car to, you know, co-working space, whatever it might be. But for me, I would have loved just one back wallet pocket, or maybe just figure out a way to put a pocket on the side. But is quick access as important to you guys or no? Roland, what do you think?
Yeah, so like my use case would be getting stuff out while I'm on the train, you know. I'm always getting my laptop out, doing a bit of work, and my headphones and my sunnies. So I'm sort of in and out of my bag a lot on the train, and I've been using a Cynic 22, which is a Tom Bihn bag that has a lot of external access and a couple of different ways to get your laptop in and out. So using this bag, it does tick a lot of those boxes for me. Like quick access is important to me, because when you're using a backpack and you're on the go, that's sort of what it's for almost. It's an extension of your pockets, you know? So I hate when I have to go into the main compartment of a backpack to get a little thing. You know, It's sort of like opening it up, things fall out. You're showing people, hey, you know, here's my life. this is what I'm all about. So if you could just quickly go into like one little zip and get what you need and go, I think that's really what it's all about. Especially in this bag, which you were saying, Aaron, they've got all of these different bags in their lineup. This to me feels like their city commuter bag. I don't know if that's what they call it, but it feels to me like it's the bag that you would take to the office or something like that. And so to that end, I think quick access, hugely important, and probably should they probably think that they have made it a priority on this bag because of that big access pocket on the front. That would be my guess.
For sure. And it is still quick-ish. I guess that I'm just a sucker for the ability to never take my bag off my body, just to do the swing over. And that pocket doesn't quite work for that. But, you know, I'll be honest, I'm slim pickings when I'm looking for negatives about this bag, because I just think it kind of rocks across the board. Bo, what are your thoughts on quick access? And then with this bag?
I do need it. I think quick access is really important. And now that we talk about it, I do agree that it does miss somewhat of a bigger quick access pocket where you can easily fit your EDC, like phone, wallet, keys inside. Obviously you can fit it, like Roland said, into the big compartment, but then again it has the problem, like I said, it is a big hole. So imagine you throw in those 3 items into that pocket and then put maybe, oh, it's warm, let's put my sweater inside that pocket. You will rummage around that. So having another quick access pocket that is not as shallow as the one on top would be helpful. I do agree with that.
So on that note then, excuse me. So on that note then, I kind of want to chat about like some specifics with the bag. And the goal is we're going to give a rating, okay? So on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 is the worst rating you can give, 5 is the best. We can all acknowledge these are not scientific ratings. We're just doing a podcast about backpacks, but I just want to get your guys' thoughts on a few of these things. So at the price point, which I think is 180 USD, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think that's what it's at. So keep that in mind when we're doing these ratings. Bo, at the price point, 1 out of 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. The materials on this bag, what's your rating?
I'm a little bit torn right now because Roland said his is different. So I'm not really sure how to answer that, because when it comes down to our materials, like on your bag, Aaron, and like on mine, I would give it definitely a 5. But I'm now a little bit kind of questioning if they changed the material totally. I'm not sure.
I think it's the more to do with the color.
Oh, okay.
But I know that is this the version 1? Because there's a version 2 coming, I think, because it's completely sold out on the website, or they've taken it off the website, and there was a huge amount of discounts just recently, like in the Christmas period. So there might be a version 2 coming. But the 640, I mean, 640 is like still a tough weave. It's I don't think that I think that might be more about preference than quality.
Okay.
I don't expect that. Evergoods doesn't feel to me like a company that's going to make a low quality version of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that in mind, I would still probably give it a 5.
5 out of 5. That's a perfect score, Bo.
Yeah, when it comes down to build quality and materials, I think Evergoods is hard to beat, honestly, from my perspective.
Roland, 1 out of 5. What do you think?
I'm going to give it 3.5.
3.5. All right. So why?
Which I still think is a good score.
It's a solid score. It's a passing score.
I guess it depends on what I'm taking into account there. So things like the color choice is fairly limiting. Most of these bags usually come in black, and the blues and the sages, and then the occasional bright neon oranges. They're sort of the special editions. But black is very much the norm, and then that grey on the interior is also the norm.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit boring. Like maybe they're not an operation that can scale to the level of having the funkier colours for people like Bo and myself, who are experimenting with our expression of self. But so I suppose that was just a little bit disappointing. The sage green though is very nice, but that interior, because you are looking inside the bag like very often, probably more often than you are looking at the outside as the user of the bag, and it just doesn't inspire me.
Okay, if we're taking
would officially like to Bo wants to change his answer.
Yeah, if we're taking look into account, I want to drop it down to 4 because I totally agree with you. Because if it's just durability and just the longevity of the fabrics, I would give it a 5. But I do agree with Roland in terms of being a little bit bland. I would drop it down to 4.
It's interesting because when I had this question, I was thinking mostly on Bo's perspective too, just in terms of like bang for your buck, quality of materials for the money that you're getting. But I hadn't considered Roland the perspective of also, like, you know, the perhaps, how'd you say, the materials don't inspire me. I like that. And I think that for me, I really like this ballistic nylon on my blue version in particular. I think it's got a little panache to it, a little shine to it. It's not Cordura. I'm not sure exactly what the brand is, but more or less, although I don't think that I'm very inspired by these interior materials as well, they feel great. I think from a feel perspective, I don't think that that Evergoods skimped on these interior materials, even like the like this meshy sort of this elasticy sort of material on the outside of the laptop compartment, the actual tech compartment itself with the padding, the shoulder straps. So I think I'm gonna give it a 4. I think overall, I think there's definitely some room for creativity and maybe a bit more inspiration. But in terms of value and bang for your buck, for this being at $180, I mean, I've seen backpacks that cost 50% more than this bag that have 50% less quality materials. So I think for the price, actually, you're getting some decent bang for your buck there.
I would agree. I think for the price, it's a solid buy because it's going to last a long time. And like my one was clearly very loved. I think it was a university student. So, you know, and he'd beaten it up. And like, yeah, there are a couple of loose threads, but there was some marks on it. But I just gave them a wipe with some soapy water and they came off. Yeah. And it still looks good. It feels good. I don't think it's going to break. It's got a lifetime warranty as well. So even if it does, they'll take care of it, right?
There's some things that I'd be worried about with Evergoods bags, but breaking and then not being taken care of are just not one of those things. I mean, they've built a reputation for themselves for having these well-structured bags. The construction is, it's just class, you know? So yeah, that's definitely not where I'd be concerned with getting an Evergoods pack. But on to the next thing. Bo, what do you think about the aesthetic of the bag? 1 through 5. You gave your official rating for the materials was a 4. Is that locked in?
Yeah, 4.
Okay,
4 is locked in.
And then for the aesthetic of the bag, and you can take that however you want.
Yeah, it's really difficult when it comes down to aesthetic. You can obviously approach it from two sides, right? On one side, you can say, okay, it's a very approachable, good-looking, always fitting bag. But then you can also say, like, I really like Roland's approach right now, that it is a little bit boring. So because it is fitting for so many use cases and for so many people, yeah, you can totally argue that it is boring. It's not special. It's not like trying to get out of a specific comfort zone. So it's hard. Yeah, maybe 3.5.
3.5.
I'm kind of eating my words now that I had in the beginning, that it is a good-looking, timeless bag that is classic, that fits everything. But because it fits everything, it is boring. So I think, yeah.
Hey, like Roland said, 3.5 is still a really good score, and you know it takes into account. It's still a good score. Roland, what about you? What about you on the aesthetic? Where do you lie?
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I really like the look of this bag. You know, as soon as I saw it when it first came out, I thought I've got to have that, and I'm upset that it took me 2 years or whatever it is to actually get my hands on one. But I was really taken by the look of it. I do like a lot of Evergoods stuff. I think that it's, as I said earlier, it's a classic looking backpack, you know, and I think that it's a classic looking backpack that looks good, because you can get classic looking backpacks that don't look so crash hot. I don't know if this is the same where you both live, but I live in Sydney, Australia, and like all the kids are rocking these like $30 Nike bags. But they look like backpacks. They look like normal backpacks, but they just look like wafer thin. The way the material drapes looks garbage, and none of them are lasting, 2 years of high school. So look, I'm gonna give it a 4 because like my initial reaction to it was very strong, and now that I have it, I feel like it is very wearable. The design. Um, yeah, it's not out there. You know, again, you could say that the color choices are a little bit lacking, but I think that it's quite good, and it's managed to keep the design language from the other Evergoods bags, which I really like. I think that it's important for a manufacturer to have that recognizable design, and they've done it here.
100%. I think, yeah, I'm a little bit more on your side, Roland. Just in terms of the higher score, I think I'm going to give it a 4.5, and let me tell you why. I think when I first started getting into backpacks, I was just like, I was really into the jetpack, the modern looks, the peak designs, the nomadics. I was like, yeah, these guys are like changing the game and doing all this crazy shit. But now that I've been doing this for a few years, I'm really starting to appreciate bags that take inspiration from a traditional backpack, that old school heritage style, and modernize it ever so slightly, because this has that old school vibe, right? But in a way that's very brought to the future, very sleek, very streamlined, with techier materials. So I just think they freaking nailed the aesthetic with this. Obviously, they came at the sacrifice of some things, some capacity in the main compartment, water bottle holders. I think that the look was the thing that they were probably making their number one priority. And for me, that aesthetic is they just knocked it out of the park. So for me, 4.5 on the look of this bag. Any qualms with that from you guys?
Not at all.
Yeah, whatever you feel in your heart,
I'll take it.
I'm not
Perfect.
going to argue with that.
All right. And then the last category we're going to rate on a scale from 1 to 5, starting with you, Bo, the overall functionality of this pack. Yet again, whatever functionality means to you, how functional of a bag is this for your particular lifestyle?
I think it is very functional because, as I said in the beginning, this very simplistic approach to the loadout style, so not too many unnecessary slots and compartments, is for me at least very helpful, especially since I am a person that likes to utilize a lot of cubes and pouches. So there is no space wasted because there is I don't know, somewhat of a special slot inside that I will never use. Therefore, it is a very usable bag. I would have actually given it a 5, but now that we talked about the quick access compartment, I would kind of subtract half a point. Also because the front compartment, I'm torn. It's a black hole, but it does fit a lot of stuff. So I would give it a 4.5, just because, there's no quick access compartment, but the big black hole in the front is still very usable, although I have some of the feedback. But 4.5 in terms of usability.
Locking that in?
Yeah.
Locked in. Roland.
Locked in.
Roland, functionality. What do you got?
This is probably the one that I'm least qualified to answer because I've only had it for a couple of days. But I was surprised at how usable it was. Like it was really easy to use, really easy to load out, and I could see it being useful for a long time. So. Yeah, I mean, there are some negatives that I've already identified, like the quick access pocket being quite shallow and being a bit of a struggle to get the things in there that I want to have access to while I'm on the go. I don't mind that big front pocket because it is that sort of get you out of trouble pocket. Like if you just need to throw something in there on the go, or maybe it's something that is not part of your normal load, but you're taking into the office for that day. That's a pocket that's going to be able to do that job for you.
For sure.
So I'm actually going to give it at this stage a 4. Like it was a really easy bag to use. It carried well. The size was good. It was just supremely functional. With just like those one or two little things that for me not deal breakers, but maybe after like a year of using it, I would really get fed up with perhaps the the shallowness of that quick access pocket, or maybe I would just find an alternative way to carry those things. But I was very impressed, and because a lot of bags do have that steep learning curve, this was just throw your stuff in, head out the door, like not an issue.
Oh, this is the Apple phone of backpacks. I mean, you just plug in
It feels
and you
like
go.
it, yeah.
It really does. So what was that final number, Roland?
Did I say 4? I think I said 4.
4. Okay, got it. I'm going a little bit lower than you guys. I'm around the. I think I'm going to do a 3.25 for this. And here's the deal.
Ooh.
I don't mean that in a bad way, because this is also just my personal sort of experience and perspective of what I need out of bags. But I just think that based on like really good bags, when they're designed with intention, and they know, okay, what are we trying to accomplish with this bag? And I think when Evergoods sat in their boardroom in Montana, they said, we want it to be gorgeous and streamlined, and I think those are the two things that they focused on with this bag, hence sort of the way that the main compartment sort of cuts a little bit, the way that there's no water bottle holders, that there's no unnecessary pockets, or I say no extra pockets, right? I just think that simplicity was the goal with this bag, and maintaining a killer freaking aesthetic. And I think that came at the cost of some functionality for someone like me who does like some quicker access pockets. I mean, it wouldn't have been too hard for them to throw like a back wallet pocket, the hidden back wallet pocket, which is I'm a big fan of personally, on the back. But I just think that simplicity was the name of the game with this bag, and I commend them for sticking to their guns. They knew exactly what they wanted to make with this bag. But for me, with the functionality that I'm looking for sometimes in my everyday carry, living in a mega city where I'm walking around for a couple hours a day, every day, it's just not quite what I'm looking for functionally, which is why I kind of ended up not taking this out of my rotation kind of quickly, and unfortunately, because it's just things that I love about this bag. It reminds me of, have you guys ever tested the Manal daily bag?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'd love to though.
Similar sort of a setup, super lightweight. I think it's like 2.1 pounds, just so streamlined, no water bottle holder, right? Yet again, going for a very simple approach, lightweight, and just it just feels amazing. But like you swing the bag around, there's nowhere to grab anything. They've just got the top pocket, and that's about it. So for some people, they're probably listening to this like, Aaron, shut up, you don't need these pockets. That's fine. Like it's not for everyone. I understand what I'm looking for, but those two bags had similar use cases where I fell in love with them in so many ways, but they just didn't give me everything that I personally needed in my my day-to-day carry. Well, you use the Manal. Do you think it's a fair comparison between the two?
It's such a long time that I reviewed the Manal. Let me just check when I reviewed that bag. I think it was 3 years ago. I don't recall a lot about the bag. I remember that my title was boring but awesome. So I remember that it has a lot of functionality, but I can't recall too much about the bag, to
That's
be
fine.
quite
Well,
honest.
speaking of Manal and other brands, this is going to bring us to the last section of this conversation, which is, if any of the listeners out there, I assume they're listening to this because A, they're either bag nerds, or B, they're looking for a new bag and they're interested in the PLC. And if they're at a point right now where they're just maybe not quite sold, but they're still here, so they're kind of interested in a bag like this, I'd like to see if we can throw some alternative recommendations their way. So do you guys have any, Roland, any ideas for a bag that, maybe a user or somebody is looking for a bag that is similar to this, that might give them something a little bit extra that you could recommend?
I mean, it depends. Like if what you like about this bag is the size, that it's relatively compact, it's about, it's 20 liters. So if you're looking at a bag around that size, but maybe the organization is not there for you, then I would think that the Tom Bihn Cynic could be a good option, or the Synapse. They come in 19 and then 22 liter variants respectively. And I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I feel a bit boring about how often I talk about them, but
it's so funny. I
keep coming back to them.
I've never reviewed a Tom Bihn. Like give me your 30-second pitch, because I see them and I'm like, that looks like something my uncle would wear. So why should I wear one?
That's the thing, right? Like people don't like the aesthetic, so it turns them off it. I don't understand. I saw them and I thought, oh, that looks like a sick bag. It looks like a backpack. It looks like soft and drapey. But the thing, the genius of Tom Bihn is really in that external organization. So it's all there. There's a water bottle pocket. There's plenty of quick access pocket. There might be some concerns for someone that lives in a really busy city. I don't know if pickpocketing is a thing in Hong Kong. It's not a thing really in Sydney, so that's not a concern for me. That's good. But that would be an option. I was thinking about some other sort of like 18, 20 litre bags, but I can't think of anything that has a similar aesthetic. There's definitely plenty in the heritage.
I like that, Roland, too, because it's funny because they're similar in a lot of ways. Heritage sort of a vibe in terms of like they look like backpacks. But as to where the Evergoods PLC seems like it shows a bit of form over function in some ways, the Tom Bihn is sort of the reverse of that, where it's definitely function first, right? The pockets,
it's all function.
It's all function, yeah. Exactly. Nothing against the form. You like the form, but yeah, they're just going for pocket capacity and access and all these different things. So it's really interesting recommendation. Bo, what about you? You got a recommendation for the listeners out there if they're not quite sold on the Evergoods PLC?
Yeah, I recently reviewed the Black Ember Citadel 25. That bag is obviously bigger, but there is the smaller version, the Citadel 18. Mm-hmm. I feel that while Roland's recommendation was hitting more of the function side, I feel that the Black Ember hits a little bit more on the stylistic side, the form side.
Yeah, their bags are beautiful.
Yeah, I think that is, if you consider the Evergoods to be a little bit, like I said, bland or a little bit boring, then the Citadel definitely, especially the orange one, looks amazing.
Do you like the orange one, dude? It is very orange.
I like that.
It's got a lot of orange going
in your
on.
Face.
Yeah,
it is in your face. I want to see it in person. I only saw it on Instagram posts and on pictures, but I do like that color a lot. Mm-hmm. But even if you go with the black one, I feel that the materials and the way it is constructed looks a little bit more futuristic.
Yeah.
It has this kind of sci-fi aesthetic to it,
but in a way that's also subtle. I feel like it's not super loud. It's got a subtlety to it. It can still be anonymous, but when you look at it, you're like, damn, that bag is fucking gorgeous.
I feel that out of 20, if you put 20 black bags in a stack, I would see the Black Ember bag right away.
It's the Where's Waldo test of backpacks, of black bags.
Yeah, I think it looks very apart in terms of small little aesthetics. It has the similar feature layout in terms of having a big pocket in the front, clamshell opening, but it does have a quick access pocket on the top. The pocket is a little bit more organized. There is a separate pocket compression. I'm not sure if it's on the 18 liter as well, but you have this compression pocket in the main compartment.
That's on the 25 liter.
It's only on the 25, I think. Doesn't I
think so. I don't know. I just did a comparison video. We just shot it. It hasn't gone live yet, but I'm with you as to where I was really impressed by those bags. I go back and forth on Black Ember. I always respect the shit out of Black Ember. I just love that they know who they are and they stick to their guns. It doesn't mean that every bag that they make is perfect for me, but those Citadels were really awesome. Yeah. For me, I think my alternative recommendation is going to be the Bellroy Classic backpack. I think that as to where if you're here, you're looking for that classy sort of a bag, 20 liters, but just has a little bit of extra flair or panache to it. I think the Bellroy with its color options and just its very nice branding and the little leather hints and whatnot could definitely be a decent alternative recommendation. And it's just a great bag across the board. You're a big Bellroy fan, right, Roland?
Well, I'm an Australian. And they're Australians, so
this is true.
We do talk a lot. I like Bellroy. That's probably worthy an episode of its own. That bag.
Do we all have that bag? Do you have the classic, Roland?
Yeah, I have maybe quite an early version of it.
Okay.
But the issue that I have with a lot of Bellroy bags is that that quick access pocket is not big enough.
It is tight, dude. It really is. I just did a reshoot of the Bellroy.
It's even smaller than this one, I reckon.
Yeah. Oh, it's significantly smaller and tighter. And it's nice because if you want to throw a few small things in there, you can have quick access to it, and you can do the swing around, right? And it's got that quick little zip. But yeah, otherwise, it's not going to be able to handle anywhere near as much as capacity as the front pocket in this bag can. So yeah, Bo, maybe we'll try and get you a Bellroy Classic, and we'll do one of these episodes. Doing that.
Yeah, Bellroy has a lot of cool bags, but honestly, I'm just looking at the website and the product page. That's not for me. Sorry. You know, it looks like a good bag, but you know what it reminds me of? It kind of, and this is not, I like Bellroy items a lot, but that bag kind of looks like, you know, when you went to school and everyone had the Eastpak, a cool looking backpack, and there was this one kid that didn't have a cool backpack. And that kind of reminds me of. I know
that's funny.
This is.
We should definitely get him one.
Oh yeah, no, now you're getting one. Now you're absolutely getting one.
You have to use it for a month.
Yeah, go back to school with that bag and get picked on by the other kids with their Eastpak and JanSport bags.
That's perfect. Well, on that note, I think we're at the hour mark, and that should do it. So, Bo, Roland, thank you guys so much for joining this episode. If anybody has looking for any more information about these bags, please check the description below. We'll have links to reviews from any three of us, as well as affiliate links where you can get buy the bag and hopefully have some sort of discount code we're trying to work out. So, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Bo. Thanks, Roland.
Thank you very much.
Bye.